I want to talk about a few things that are important if you're sort of taking the step from making retail bouquets to floral work for weddings, particularly things that are going to be out of water. I think my attention was drawn to this recently when I was watching a YouTuber that I love, who's predominantly a flower farmer, who's sort of moving into bridals a little bit. And for me, I mean, maybe they have a tried and tested way of holding these florals up. Some of the ingredients I would struggle to get to last my magic time. And basically, when I'm designing a bridal bouquet, I'll cut it the week before. I won't use those same flowers in the bridal bouquet, but I want it to be stuff that I think I'll have in the garden the following week. So stuff that's in season, and I'll cut it the week before and I'll condition it overnight, and then I will take each of the different things I'm trying out of water and I leave them on my kitchen table laid in a line, and I leave them there for 4 hours. Granted, I'm not leaving them out in full sunshine. I am leaving them in cool conditions because, to be honest, I think most things would wilt if you took them and left them out in full sunshine for 4 hours. And then I pick them up and see how they fared. You know, have they gone completely droopy, or do they still have some rigidity about them where they would hold up in a bouquet? And this has also got me thinking about perhaps I've been making some errors. Of course, this is not, I'm not going to make a proper bouquet now. This is just me trying to do an example, and these are just some flowers that I happen to have here. Because when I make a bouquet using my tried and tested Crisscross, these stems aren't particularly clean for this, but we are only doing an example. But when I am doing the Crisscross, when you finish, when you get your finished result, you still get quite a gardeny feel and look, but the flowers possibly support each other a bit better. So it's still quite loose, but I end up threading things in, and I will put a picture of an example of a bouquet, a Crisscross bridal bouquet. And when you see it, you can see it's got movement. So if I give it a shake, I'll put in some footage of me shaking a bouquet made in this method. Look, I know this isn't, I'm not selling this to anyone. This is just an example of what I think I might have started doing wrong. Okay, so you get to this sort of stage, everything's fairly well supported, and then I tighten it up because I start threading things in. Oh gosh, what have I got to thread in? Anemones. Poor anemones. So then I start threading things in. I still make sure if I thread things in, I pull the stems back in the same direction. But what I'm doing now by doing this is I'm packing my flowers, making them tighter, but it still has that sort of gardeny feel. But it means if you were, you know, giving a bridal bouquet and it was a particularly hot day, these flowers are held up on each other, if that makes sense. So, I mean, that will do for an example. So it's still, I mean, this is what I tend to, is one of my favourite ways of making bouquets. But I think if you are a florist, it's good to be able to make bouquets, you know, in different ways. You don't want to, it's good to have the skill set, and I'm by no means an expert, you know that. You know, I like to show you trial and error. So it's still loose and airy, but it's more compact together. And what I've started doing recently, particularly in the wedding I did in May and the wedding I've just done, is the brides wanted big. And if you want to make a big bouquet and still make it a reasonable cost, you need to have some negative space in that bouquet, you know, air. You need the flowers to be really quite loose. And I love the look of that in a bouquet. It's just beautiful. But, and this is what suddenly got me thinking, because it was quite hot on the day of the bouquet, by giving the flowers all that negative space, look, this is just pretend, by giving all the flowers that negative space, are they then more likely to wilt and droop? If any of you sort of are, well, you don't have to be floral designers, but you know, what are your thoughts on, should a bridal bouquet be a bit more tightly packed because it's going to be out of water? That's what I think. That's the question I'm asking is, although I like the looser look for most work, should a bridal bouquet be more tightly packed together so that things are supported on each other? I mean, another way I've done that in the past is to sort of do the crisscross method, but put all foliage first. In fact, that's how I made, if you watch how I did my friend's wedding last year in the wedding series, that's what I did. I did all the foliage first, and then threaded things in, so that was quite tightly packed. I mean, you need more flowers. If I've run out of flowers actually now for this. I've run out of flowers for this, so there's a big hole. But for making a larger bouquet, so this is the same amount of flowers I just used. I mean, I can probably fill it in a bit. So negative space, I mean, there is a bit of a hole in the middle there. Is that too much negative space for a bride bouquet? Would that mean that the flowers would droop more? Or which do you like best for a bride bouquet? Layering and spiraling, or crisscrossing? I mean, I like both, but what do you like? Thank you so much for joining me again in this video. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to follow my gardening journey, you can subscribe to my channel. And if you'd like to contribute towards the making of these videos, you can buy me a coffee, and the link for coffee buying is in the description for the video. Thanks again. I'll see you next time.